Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is part 3 of today's video, um, May 19th of 2020. Once again, this is part 3 of today's video, May 19th of 2020. So our focus for today is going to be on simple past with regular verbs, as you can see right here. Simple past with regular verbs. Also, this is kind of similar to what we learned in Unit 8, which was about simple past of be words called was and were, and we use them to talk about our occupation in the past. So, for example, I was a teacher. I was a teacher. That means that in the past, I was a teacher, but not right now, not anymore. I use the word was to describe that my occupation was a teacher in the past, but not anymore. And so we're learning something similar, but instead we're learning with regular verbs. So simple past with regular verbs. So let's do the exercise 1 together, uh, and we're try to read it together with me, or repeat after me. For regular verbs, add ed to the base form to make statements about the past. Use did with the base form to make questions about the past. Okay, so let's first go over the statements. So statements we have here. We have various subject pronouns. So we have I, you, he, she, they. So let me read it with I. I clean the living room. So the clean here is the verb, and the rule is that we have to add the word ed to the base form. So what is a base form of cleaned? That is, the base form is clean. C-L-E-A-N. So I cleaned the living room. So basically it means that I cleaned it. The living room, um, so right now it's at a state where it's clean because in the past it was cleaned. Someone cleaned it. I mean, I cleaned it. So this cleaning action was done in the past, right? Now here we have I didn't clean. And this is what we call the negative form or negative statement. So here this is a positive, and this is talking about the past, and this is also talking about the past. So here, so I cleaned the living room. It means that the living room was, so right now the living room is clean because it was in the past someone cleaned it. But here it says I didn't clean is a negative form of clean. So uh, no action of cleaning was done. So no action. So it's the opposite. So this is a positive statement or affirmative if you remember. Affirmative. And this is the negative statements. So I'm just going to read it. I cleaned the living room. You cleaned the living room. He cleaned the living room. She cleaned the living room. And they cleaned the living room. So important thing here to see is that you remember when we're talking about simple past of be, was, and were, um, when we're making questions or when we're making statements, uh, the rule was it really depends on what kind of subject pronoun that we're use. So for example, um, when we're asking questions with were, if we want to use were, it has to be the subject pronoun had to be either singular, but so it would be you. So were you or it has to be were they. So, were they nurses before? Were they nurses before? Were you a nurse before? Were you a nurse before? And then if we want to use the simple past be words, was, then it would be, was she a nurse? Was she a nurse? Was he a nurse? So depending on the subject pronoun, we had to use the word was and were differently. But here we have I, you, he, she, they. Um, we can just use the same verb. But only thing we need to make sure was, so there's no change depending on the subject pronoun. It stays, this doesn't change according to this. But here we have to make sure we have to add the ed to the verb to make statements about the past. Okay? But in the negative form, we don't have to uh, add uh, the ed, but instead we say didn't, didn't, so did this part to make it a negative form. And so, but we're still talking about the past. So here we don't have to add no ed. We don't need ed, but here we do. If it's so, this is a positive form and this is a negative form. Okay. And then for the verbs, so as I said, the present form of the verb is clean, but if we wanted to make a past, we have to add the word ed. So clean. So here we have base plus ed. Dry is a verb, empty is a verb, mop is a verb, stop is a verb. And then in order to make them into a past, we add the word ed. So here we have dried, we have emptied, mopped, and stopped. And if you can see here, here we have the word empty, E-M-P-T-Y. If we add the ed, the spelling has to change into I-E-D. And for mopped, we add another P, so there are two P's here. Same thing for stopped, two P's. So when we're adding ed, there are also rules that we have to remember based on what the last letter of the verb is. So if it's a Y, we have to use IED. If it's P, we have to have double P's, something like that. And then for questions here, it says use did with the base to form to make questions about the past. So same thing, we're still talking about the past using the past. Using the verb. So here, in order to question, we use did, the subject pronoun. So did you clean yesterday? So here we have to mention about the time words. So expression, time expression. So is it did you clean yesterday? Did he clean yesterday? And this yesterday could be did you clean last week? Did you clean this morning? Did you clean a month ago? There are various of time expressions that we could use. And then here we have examples. So we have yesterday, the day before yesterday, last night, last week. These are some of the examples. There are more, obviously. So we have to use, as I said again, the word did to ask a question. And here, we don't have to add the word ed. We don't have to when we're making a question. And this is a yes or no question. So for example, so we're going to have, if it's a question, did you clean yesterday? It could be yes, I did, or no, I didn't. So this is affirmative or positive statement, and then this is a negative statement because it uses didn't. No, I didn't. Okay? So now, let's do exercise 2. Right, look at the picture. What did Yosef do? What didn't Yosef do? Complete the sentences. So, Yosef do, and didn't, what didn't Yosef do? Okay, so let's look at number 1. Or let's just look at the picture first. So this is Yosef, and I think he's eating. I don't know if it's dinner or lunch, but he's eating. He's sitting on a table. If I see at the background of the pictures, the dishes are not washed. He did finish ironing here. You see, they finished. I don't know what this. Oh, he dusted the shelves. The trash can is full. Okay, so these are some things I can see through the picture. So let's go over this. So number 1, Yosef cooked dinner, right? So he cooked the dinner. So he made food uh, in the past. That's why in this picture he's about to eat the meal. Number 2, he says the verb is clean, but he says he didn't clean the kitchen. Yeah, it's dirty. So he has a dirty pot, and there are all these dishes that haven't been washed. So in number 3, he blanked the shelves. The shelves are very clean. So we can say, uh, so remember, uh, we're talking about what he did in the past. So we have to add the word ed to the verb. So here it will be dusted. He dusted the shelves. Number 4, he blanked the floor. So I can see, and then the verb we have to use is mop. And then here, I mean, because the trash can is not empty, there's some trashes on the floor. So we can kind of say that he didn't mop the floor. Or if we don't use, yeah, so he didn't. D-I-D. Didn't mop. And then when we're taking a negative statement, we don't have to turn the verb and or we don't have to add the word ed to the verb. Okay. So number 5, he blanked the dishes, and we have to use the word wash. They're not washed, so we say he didn't. He didn't. Same thing. Didn't wash the dishes. He didn't wash the dishes. Number 6, iron. He finished it. So he doesn't have any more clothing to iron. So we say he ironed. He completed ironing them, ironing the shirt. So we say I-R-O-N-E-D. Number 7, he blanked the trash. The trash is not empty, so we say he didn't empty. He didn't empty the trash. Finally, number 8, he blanked the dishes. Um, so if he didn't wash the dishes, then he didn't dry the dishes either. So we say didn't. Okay. So let's read this one time. Yosef cooked dinner. He didn't clean the kitchen. He dusted the shelves. He didn't mop the floor. He didn't wash the dishes. He ironed the shirts. He didn't empty the trash. Number 8, finally, he didn't dry the dishes. Okay, good. Now we're going to the next page. Okay, this exercise, look at the picture, answer the questions. So let's first look at the picture. What do you see? We see Mr. Ramirez, Monica, Mrs. Ramirez, so his husband and wife. We have Luis, Roberto, Monica, so Luis, Roberto, Monica, their siblings. Number 1, did Mr. Ramirez mop the floor? Yes, he did. So the answer is yes, he did, because if you see the if you take a look at the picture, the floor is shiny, so that's why they have a star right here. You see that? These symbols are representing to be clean. So let's look at this. Did Mrs. Ramirez empty the trash? So if we take a look at Mrs. Ramirez, she's holding an empty trash can. So it means she did empty them. So we can say, yes, she did. Uh, yes, she did. Period. Number 3, did Monica mop the floor? Monica, this is Monica, is holding a vacuum cleaner. And remember, we said it was Mr. Ramirez who mopped the floor. So, no. She. So we have to use negative statement. Didn't. Hold on a second. Okay, so did Monica mop the floor? No, she didn't, because she was vacuuming the floor. So number 4, did Mr. and Mrs. Ramirez wash the dishes? No. Mr. Ramirez is mopping the floor, and Mrs. Ramirez was emptying the trash can. And if you can see, it's actually Luis and Roberto washing the dishes. So okay, so number 4, did Mr. and Mrs. Ramirez wash the dishes? No, they didn't. So based on the picture, we can see that Mr. Ramirez is mopping the floor, Monica is vacuuming the floor, Mrs. Ramirez emptied the trash can, Luis and Roberto are washing the dishes. So based on that, let's take we don't have enough time, so let's just go over 5 through 8 really fast. Number 5, did Roberto dry the dishes? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Because if you take a look at closer, so Luis is washing the dishes and is handing over to Roberto, and Roberto is taking the wet dishes and drying them with a towel here, right here. So did Roberto dry the dishes? Yes, he did. Number 6, did Luis vacuum the rug? No. Luis is washing the dishes. Monica. Monica is the one vacuuming the rug. So we say, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. Number 7, did Monica vacuum the rug? Yes, she did. Yes, she did. We just talked about it. And then you can see she's holding the vacuum cleaner. And then finally, did Luis wash the dishes? Yes, he did. As you can see, he's washing the dish right here. Okay. And number 3, we don't have to do this since this is the activity we have to do with a partner. So that's it for part 3 of today's video, which was about simple past with regular verbs. Okay, thanks for watching.